Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. A, Steve Alexander. That's Rick Kamla. This is the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. It's Thursday, November 30th. We have a lot to talk about, some big returns from injuries, busy night in the NBA. We've got some in-season going on. We're going to do all that right after this sweet jam.
What's up, everybody? The RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast with the OGs. He is Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Dr. A. I'm Rick Kamla, a.k.a. The Freak. And let's get to it, Doc A. We had, as you mentioned, some big returns last night. Let's start with Jamal Murray. He returned from an 11-game absence. On the reality side, the Nugs did a good job of hanging in there. They were 6-5 without him. They maintained a second spot in the West despite missing all of those games. And they were very good at home without Murray and then very sucky on the road without Murray. And all of that made sense, right? So he comes back last night. He turned his ankle again, Doc. So here we go again. Now, he stayed in the game, but he did not look right. I was focused on him. I wasn't even watching the ball. I was just watching Murray. And a lot of his movements, he had to move his body around his ankle. It was like he was really favoring his ankle. He wasn't necessarily limping, but every time he went back over to the bench, he had a grimace on his face, was kind of retightening his shoe and all this ankle stuff, right? So he had the hamstring that kept him out. And now we've got this to keep our eye on. He was really good, Doc, 16-6, and well, it wasn't really good, but solid, 16-6-6, 3 threes in 22 minutes. Doc, I want to hit you with a fantasy basketball, I guess, hot take here at the top and bounce this off of you. I would recommend trading Jamal Murray right now. If you can, I'm not asking people to sell low on 75 cents on the dollar and this kind of thing, but if you can move him for market value, maybe you want a big, maybe you want a more reliable point guard. I don't know, but I'm concerned about this ankle, Doc. And Jamal Murray is not different this season. And I thought he might be coming off the awesome playoff run. He's still in Jokic's shadow. The stats are not spiking. He's not even close to get, from going to 20 points a game to 25 points a game. And I don't think any of that's going to happen. He's pretty much the same dude he's always been. And he will not make the All-Star team this year. And so I recommend trading Jamal Murray right now that he's back and healthy before we get another doyoyoing and before everybody kind of realizes, he's going to be muted again.
Yeah, it's interesting. And if there's a guy I don't want laboring around out there and favoring one ankle over another to cause a different injury to eventually raise its head, it's Jamal Murray. So I'm a little concerned about the ankle. I'm a little concerned about the overall health. I'm not saying I'm panicking. Like I need a full report as to what his status is after last night's game before I'm going to panic on him. But I think to your point, is it a bad idea to shop Murray and trade him right now? No, it's not a bad idea at all.
All right, Doc. So Murray is back, and it was fun to watch the Nugs with Murray. Michael Porter Jr. Chris Marlowe said on the broadcast last night, this is the most confident I have seen him as a shooter in the NBA. I was like, whoa. We had Marlowe on our NBA radio show yesterday. I was like, that's quite the statement. But it's no coincidence that happens in Jamal Murray's first game back. All right, let's talk about C.J. McCollum's return, Doc. He missed 12 games, and I believe the Pels were 5-7 in those games. C.J. was fantastic last night, 24-5 with a block, with 2 steals, with 3 threes. The goodies, Doc, the goodies, the fantasy gold. We have missed it for so long. His return was no news for Zion Williamson, 33 points, awesome line. From Zion. He didn't miss a shot from the field. CJ's return was a massive buzzkill for Brandon Ingram, 15.7 shots. His return was a massive buzzkill for Dyson Daniels and Najee Marshall in Dynasty or Super Deep leagues. This was interesting. CJ McCollum's return was not a buzzkill for Jordan Hawkins, the rookie out of UConn, 16 points in 24 minutes. He was fantastic. I would try to trade Jamal Murray for CJ McCollum right now. Dynasty League, maybe not. We got a big separation in age. But in a redraft type of deal, I would be so let's merge one with the other here, Doc. I feel great about CJ coming back. He's got the ball in his hands. He's going to put these stats up consistently. BI, this thing is weird. I want you to talk to me about that. And if you're kind of shuddering with BI here moving forward. But CJ's back, Doc. Talk to us about it.
Well, are you aware of where he ranks this year in fantasy?
Hit me.
Top 20. Which is weird because he's usually 5th, 6th round, just chilling down there, not blocking a lot of shots, not stealing the ball a ton. And he's doing everything right this year for New Orleans. Maybe that's because maybe it's because Zion's out there and healthy. Maybe it's because Brandon Ingram's out there playing with him. He's got teammates around him for the first time since he played with Dame, really. So that's very interesting. I was glad to see that Herbert Jones did not take a hit last night. I think he played 33 minutes. We have to see what happens when Trey Murphy comes back with Herb Jones. That's going to hurt a little bit because Herb Jones has been he's been as great as CJ has been fantasy-wise. So CJ, to me, is kind of a sell-high guy right now, but I think he's healthy. He's playing. He looked good last night. He had all the goodies, and I think trading Jamal Murray to get CJ McCollum right now is not a bad idea.
All right, that is Dr. A. I'm Rick Kamla. He's Steve Alexander. We're the OGs, all right? It's the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Mr. A is making a comment here. He says, hello, guys. I'm your avid fan. We love that you're an avid fan. We would like that we have more than one avid fan, right? He's claiming I am your one avid fan. So, Mr. A, we appreciate you, bro. And everybody coming on in here, hit up the comment section here on the StreamYard platform, and we will answer your questions later on in the broadcast here. All right, the OGs continue. And, Doc, I want to wind you up here on Devin Booker. Okay, he obviously has been playing, coming off of what the hell was his injury before this? Was it a hamstring, Doc? There's so many injuries here.
Was it a calf?
Soft tissue. All right, lower extremity soft tissue. I feel like a hockey guy right now. It's a lower body injury. Anyway, Devin Booker might miss time. Sorry, Doc. I got to just quickly add on a piece of intel I got about the Pels. A little birdie told me that Trey Murphy is playing on Friday night. Take that and do with it what you will. Basketball world, fantasy basketball world. But a little birdie told me that Trey Murphy's coming back on Friday. If it doesn't happen, blame the little birdie, not me. Just want to let you know. So Devin Booker turned his ankle last night, Doc. Played through it. Not initially. He went to the bench and it was like, oh my God, Book's going to miss a month. It was a bad ankle turn. He's on the bench, got a towel over his face. Oh my God, I'm in so much pain. All this stuff. And then he went, wait a minute. I'm a Kobe guy. I preach the Mamba mentality. I got to come back and play. All right. Bradley Beal is going to miss the entire year. All right. We can't rely on him. I got to do this. So he came back, Doc, but he was in a lot of pain. And he said after the game, he was a decoy out there and that it was a long flight to Denver. All right. Leaving the door open to missing time with this ankle injury, depending on the swelling and soreness and all that kind of stuff. And I call them the bubble wrap Suns for a reason. When their guys are slightly hurt, they don't play. I was actually shocked that Book was allowed to come back into that game last night at Toronto. Obviously, if you got Grayson Allen, if you got Eric Gordon, giddy up, man. Giddy up. Don't change a thing. Don't send them to waivers because Book may miss some time right here. How are you feeling about this this new development with Devin Booker?
I've been fired up about Eric Gordon kind of all season because with no Beal and with Booker being banged up, like he's not a well-rounded fantasy guy, but he's going to get you 3 or 4 triples a night. He's going to score a ton of points. He's going to play heavy minutes and run into some other stuff while he's out there. But, yeah, this whole thing, we see it all the time, man. Guys go down, they sprain their ankle. You see it on TV. It looks really bad. They're able to play through it for the rest of that game. They go back. They get retaped. I don't know if they do anything else to it or not, but they get back on the court. They finish the game. And then we always say, now watch, it's going to swell overnight. He's going to miss 2 weeks. He's going to miss 10 days. And that's exactly what this feels like with Booker. I mean, I would be shocked if he plays next week. There's only 2 games next week, right? With the in-season tournament. So we got the rest of this week. We got all next week. I don't think he's going to play until after next week. So, it is disturbing. The Suns, I don't like what's going on with this Phoenix team really much at all. KD is fine. Um, the Brad Beal thing. I mean, you and I have been complaining about it here for weeks and months, and it's filtering down to the rest of the vibe of the whole team. It's just like he's supposed to be the man. He was supposed to lead them, be their third spark plug, and he's just not there. And they just seems like it's kind of a lost cause to me.
So the Nurkic thing is going very well. And Joel Embiid, I'm feeling some kind of way about your DNP last night because Doc, he got ruled out 15 minutes before the game, something like that, and there wasn't a lot of reporting about this illness. Frankly, I don't know if there was any. And so I moved on and was doing some family stuff. Set my lineups. Of course, I set an alarm for 6:45. Check the wire, check news, just in case there's any late stuff. Nothing about Embiid. And Nurkic, I think, had 19 and 14, had a goodie line. Oh, my God. And so that was on my bench. So Joel Embiid, thank you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. But the Nurkic thing has been fantastic in Phoenix, man. He is more comfortable. He's more motivated. He just was drifty the last 2 years in Portland, man. He was like, get me out of here. And you could tell with his play, had a lot of bum nights. And he's not doing that in Phoenix. He's actually been pretty consistent. I know you wanted to get us talking here on the OGs, the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Steve Alexander, I'm Rick Kamla, about how screwed the Warriors are without CP3. And Doc, to get Shams and Woj yesterday reporting that it's a nerve thing in his lower leg, not good, dude. Doc, I'm big into conspiracy theories. I also don't touch door handles. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, okay? I'm kind of a weirdo. Sometimes when they report injuries, you take it at face value. All right, sprained ankle. All right, cool. When it's this, Woj called it lower left leg nerve contusion. What the F is that? Okay, so when they like to mask a bigger injury, Doc, with bone bruise. They will call it a bone bruise, right? And you're like, what's really going on here? 3 days later, meniscus tear, he's going under the net. What do you mean bone bruise? It was a meniscus tear. So I feel like I'm getting thrown off here by this reporting. I feel like there might even be something more going on here with Chris Paul. I'm dubious of this report, Doc. So how's this all hit you?
I mean, I've never seen parentheses lower left leg nerve contusion.
We can't even say it. We both stumbled over it because we've never had to put these 5 words together.
I've never seen it written in a blurb, an NBA player blurb, before in my life. So again, what is that? It doesn't sound good. The fact that the word nerve is in there, it's a bruise to a nerve in his lower left leg. Like, that doesn't sound good. When he went down, you could tell he was hurt. Like, he was in a lot of pain. I don't think he's going to be, I don't foresee him playing very soon with that injury. And he's 38 years old, Rick. He's almost as old as we are. I don't know, man. And again, he was playing really well for this Warriors team. Like, coming into the season, I didn't know how he was going to fit in, how it was really going to work, but it's worked out pretty well. And it's been a good combo for him and Steph Curry to work together. So it is going to hurt, man. And I kind of like your boy Pajemski here stepping up in Chris Paul's absence. I think Corey Joseph 10 years ago, maybe I was fired up about that, but not today.
I've never heard anybody more fired up about Corey Joseph than Stan Van Gundy the other night. I mean, I've never heard more praise on a third point guard in my life. I mean, Stan Van Gundy was going on and on and on. Well, what a great pickup this was. And it's like, dude, I mean, I like Stan Van. He's a good game analyst. He's kind of prickly in general, but I do like his game analysis. He was banging on the Warriors that whole game about turnovers and fouls. It was awesome, right? And then they set a record or something for most turnovers and combined foul attempts to the other team in one game. It was like some history, and Stan Van was lamenting it the whole game. Stan Van, keep doing your thing, man. It's Rick Kamla. It's Doc A, Steve Alexander. We're the OGs on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Talk about your boy Lauri Markkanen, Doc. He ain't my boy. He's your boy. He's got a left hamstring injury. He will miss tonight's game, miss the previous game as well. And you know what? Probably some more games from there. I know you wanted to bring up Lauri, though, here, so hit the people.
Oh, I don't know that I have a lot to say here. I know that you predicted this injury in one of the first podcasts we did together at RotoWire. You're like, I don't like Markkanen. He's going to get hurt. He's not going to finish.
It's all about the shutdown, too. Doc, Listen to me. I traded. Remember I told you about the Clarkson and THT trade right before THT got benched, and I got who did I make that trade for? OG Anunoby. And I had a chance with Ken Kreitz, who's one of the execs here at RotoWire. And I don't know, I probably could have had John Collins or PJ Washington, and I traded Kreitz Chris Paul in a bigger package, right? But he really wanted Chris Paul, and I really didn't want Chris Paul because I got 1 million assists. So I said, all right, cool. And Paul was coming off the bench at this point. This was before the Draymond suspension when Paul's numbers went nuts. And I went with PJ Washington over John Collins. I like John Collins more. But I'm afraid of the shutdown, Doc. I'm afraid of after the All-Star break, boo, and we're going to play all these young guys. It'll be the Keyonte George show, right? He's a guy that's got staying power with this team. They're not going to shut him down, but they're going to shut all these vets down.
Yeah, and Collins is a vet. Markkanen's a vet. Walker Kessler is a banged up sort of vet at this point. He's young. It's only his second year, but they're not gonna risk Walker Kessler's future for the second half of this season. Jordan Clarkson, Taylor Horton Tucker. The guy that I'm kind of digging in Utah right now is the Simone Fontecchio guy.
Fontecchio.
Whatever. Dude, I don't watch a lot of jazz telecast.
Neither do I. I just tried to help you out. It's Fontecchio. Your boy.
Well, I'm glad to know his name now because I was looking him up on FanDuel yesterday. I didn't even know what his name was. I was like, it'll be the name I don't recognize when I get there. And took me a while, but he's been playing minutes and been playing kind of well. I like using him in FanDuel because he's cheap. But yeah, Markkanen, and you called this. I don't know. And then, when Markkanen went down with this hamstring, everybody's like, "Ooh, I got to go out and get Kelly Olynyk because Kelly Olynyk's going to go off." Well, that's not really happening either. There's just not a lot to love about this Utah situation right now. I don't see it ending very well. I do think we're going to get more Keyonte George than we can handle or shake a stick at for the rest of the season. That is one thing that is definitely happening.
So let's work in a question here from the Peanut Gallery, Doc, because there is a question or comment here about Keyonte George. Mr. A, who said, "Hello, guys, I'm your avid fan." Again, we'd like to pluralize that. And in fact, we have also in here, Aditya Maluk says, "Hi, Doc and Mr. Rick Kamla. I'm a huge fan too. For 8 years and counting on refresh, Tommy. 8 years and counting now, and going for my 6th championship." All right, Aditya. We hope we can help you get that. All right. So the Keyonte George note here, and I apologize, guys. I'm trying to find this thing. Here we go. Mr. A says, "Is Keyonte George a hold?" Not only is Keyonte George a hold, look, Keyonte George sucked last night, right, Doc? That line was awful. But did you watch the Pelicans game the other night, the second of that stupid baseball series? I hate baseball series, by the way. I don't know where you're at. I hate baseball series. So the Pelicans got to go to Utah for 2 boring-ass games in a row, right? Give me a break. I hate the baseball series. But Keyonte George was dunking on him, hitting big threes on him. He had a big stat line. He was the player of the damn game. So Keyonte George is good to go the whole season, man. Do you agree?
Yeah. Not only is he a hold, he's a must hold. I mean, if you drop Keyonte George, he's gone.
He might be a trade for guy right now, Doc.
Yeah. He's a target for sure. I mean, we've seen him play 17 games, and he hasn't really blown up yet. It's kind of a slow start, but it's coming. And once they demoted Taylor Horton Tucker and promoted Keyonte to the starting lineup, it was over. I mean, he's there for the rest of the season. He's only going to get better. You got to hang on to him.
Back to Lauri Markkanen quickly, guys. When he comes back you can't trade a guy with the red flag on him, right? It's just tough. When he comes back, has a couple of 25-point games, drilling threes again, trade him, okay? Trust me. Trade John Collins if you can. If you're in a dynasty league, it's a different conversation. But if you're in a redraft league, you should be looking to trade Clarkson. That's going to be tougher. But John Collins and Lauri at the position scarcity forward position, you'd be able to get some business back for that. Speaking of forwards here, or I guess Boston center now, Kristaps Porzingis, Doc, let's talk about this. Joe Mazzulla said on Sunday that he's got a calf. He'll be reevaluated in a week or so. And so here we go with Kristaps Porzingis in a calf injury and an out indefinitely situation. How is this hitting you, and how are you pivoting this news in fantasy basketball?
Well, you can't say we didn't see this one coming either.
We all saw it. Our audience members, we did. If you didn't see a Porzingis injury coming, you haven't been paying attention.
Everybody saw it coming. So am I worried about him? A little bit. I just think we're going to get through the 2-game week next week. And then he should hopefully be back and ready to go. I know that it's different. It feels different with him being with the Celtics and being injured than it did when he was with some of these other teams and being injured, because he's such a big part of what the Celtics plan to do this season. They're trying to win a championship. He's a big part of that. They need him out there. So I think they're just going to let him rest, let him get healthy in, throw him back out there until he gets hurt again 3 weeks later, and then 3 weeks again after that. And then it'll just be an ongoing thing. But yeah, the Celtics were in a weird place this week because they only had 2 games. And I know my son dropped Al Horford in a league, which Horford then turned around and went off against the Hawks. And he's like, Dad, why did I do that? I'm like, you can get him back. It'll be all right. But with 2 games last week and 2 games this week, 2 games next week, really an ideal time for Porzingis to go down with an injury. Hopefully he only misses 4 games and he's back.
So I agree with all of that. I like the point that you made about when you're with Washington, who's in tank mode, versus being on Boston, who's in go for the gold ball mode. And that will, not that Boston's going to rush him back and be like irresponsible, but there's just a different mindset, and it will lead to more games played from Porzingis than with previous stops. Porzingis was, me and Antonio Daniels on NBA radio, we went into who's the best Alfred in the league, that third guy, now that Chris Middleton is not, right? And I looked at it in real time. I just evaluated like an MVP race. All right, who's the best Alfred right now? Not necessarily who I would want for a playoff run, because that would probably be like an Aaron Gordon with all the defense and all the stuff he brings to the table. That dude's got tools on his tool belt. But KP was the best Alfred in the NBA when I did this study, Doc, probably 10 days probably about 10 days ago to maybe 2 weeks ago. That's how well he was playing as that third fiddle to Tatum and Brown. So, guys, again, Horford is a must pick up right now. As a starter, he's this year, okay, and it's, a handful of starts, 8, 8, and 4, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 1.5 threes. But like Doc said, the last 2 games have been really throwback Al Horford games. And so he's going to continue to start and put up really good, like the full stat line across the board. All right, I want to give a little bit more advice here to the people before we give out our underdog fantasy lineups tonight. Doc, it is time for everybody to pick up Patrick Williams of the Chicago Bulls. Get him now. While you're listening to this podcast, Rick Kamla, Steve Alexander on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Just grab your phone and pick up Patrick Williams. Do it, okay? Going back to the well here, Doc, I've been a Patrick Williams guy. I traded a third-round pick away to get him in the Cam Dynasty. I have since dropped Patrick Williams. Don't be mad at me. My team is that deep and that gargantuan, okay? I didn't even have room for it. I had to drop Cam Reddish last night. My team's so damn good. I didn't want to drop Cam Reddish. Got to do what you got to do. But I'm going back to the well, okay? Because now, Doc, we got DeMar DeRozan turned his ankle against Boston the other night. Tried to come back in the game, had to eventually exit. Uh-oh, here we go. Zach LaVine, this foot soreness thing, right? He had it. He came back, played a couple of games, didn't look right. Reading the reports and watching him, and then had to leave the Boston game with the same injury. And now there's reports out of Chicago where the words "shut down" are in those reports. So Patrick Williams is green lit for me. And he's been good, Doc. Over the last 4 games, he has been, where's the line? 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Wait a second. I'm reading the wrong thing here. My bad. This was his line the other night against Boston. 14 and 7, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal, and made a 3. All right. But over the last 4 games, Doc, he's been 10 plus points in each, 9 threes over those 4 games, averaging 6 boards with 4 stocks, which is a little light. I think when he really gets cooking, he'll be giving you 1 block and 1 steal per game. Are you feeling me on this Patrick Williams diagnosis?
You know, I've never bought into the Pat Williams hype. It's all tied to Zach LaVine. And every report we've read about Zach LaVine this year is bad. Like, not really getting along with anyone. Kind of banged up, kind of hurt, kind of disgruntled, kind of doesn't want to be in Chicago. None of that has been good. And if Zach LaVine is pulled out of the equation, which you feel like he's going to be at some point, somebody's going to have to step up, and it's probably going to be Pat Williams. So, yeah, I can get behind what you're saying. I can see Pat Williams finally starting to live up to the hype, but I'm not racing out there to pick him up quite yet.
I understand. Doc A, let's give the people our underdog fantasy lineups for tonight. You go
Before
first.
We do that,
Before
we do that, I'm going to tell you about Underdog. Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for NBA best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $100 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code RWNBA. That's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today and use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. Rick, I had some Underdog going last night.
Talk to me.
It looked like I had a sure thing in the bag. I had a 5-leg, $1 to win $20 parlay, and 4 of the 5 hit pretty early. It was Jokic. It was all the same game. It was the Denver-Houston game. I needed I needed 4 fourth quarter points from who's the forward for Houston?
Jabari Smith.
Jabari. I needed 4 points. I needed 4 points from Jabari. I needed 6 points or some combo of 6 from Alperen Şengün with the entire fourth quarter to go. 14-point game. Like, this is money. Well, Jabari comes in, hits a couple threes or whatever. That's done. So now I got 4 out of 5. I just need the 6 from Şengün. They leave him on the bench for the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Bring him in. He plays 1 minute, and they pull him back out, clear the benches. It just wasn't meant to be, Rick. Just another tough night in the office for Dr. A.
It's a bad beat, dude. That's a bad beat. So let's give the people a winner here, man. You want to go first on your Underdog fantasy lineup for tonight?
You know, I'm going to let you go first because I slept on that assignment and was watching old Curb Your Enthusiasms and laughing.
Understandable.
This morning instead of picking out my underdog play. But I do this every day, so I can rebound quickly. But yeah, who you got?
All right, so just quickly here, and I'll buy you some more time to maybe make some investment decisions. I read before we came on here, going through some news and stuff, that Mitchell Robinson was talking about how dirty the ball is and how discolored the ball becomes because of dirt, bacteria, germs, all that kind of stuff. And he was talking about how nobody in the NBA washes their hands. Okay, so immediately this super grossed me out, and it took me back to my boy Larry David, who, of course, is a notorious germaphobe. I am a germaphobe as well. I don't touch door handles. If I have a long sleeve shirt, I'll drop it down and use that to do the door handle or my feet or, the bottom of my shirt. I'm trying to stay healthy here, all right? By the way, I was pitching like a perfect game until the flu gods went, Cam, it's been a good run. Boosh, here's a lightning bolt down on you that's going to last 2 weeks to a month. Have fun. I did not have fun with that. Screw you, flu gods. But so that made me think of that, Doc, the whole the Curb Your Enthusiasm thing. The greatest show of all time, by the way. But it still pales to the Magical Body Part episode when the Jets killed Carl. It still pales in comparison to that one. All right, Doc, I will unpack it for you here. And I'm going to let the people know. It's early, right? And they add props throughout the day. Okay, so the guys that I wanted to bang tonight, Malcolm Brogdon, not yet available. Cam Thomas is supposed to come back tonight. Like maybe if his number's 12.5, 13.5, bang this, people. Jaime Jaquez, my new favorite player for the Miami Heat. This guy's cooking in the last 5 games at about 18.5 points per game. So I'm looking at like, give me a 14.5 on Jaquez. I'll bang that, okay? So just keep your eye on those. We can't give them out yet because I don't have a line for them. I like Patrick Williams tonight. Like if it's 11.5, 10.5, bang that, people. But I got SGA, Doc, 31.5. I don't like the number. It's 1 up from his regular season average, but the Lakers suck on defense. Okay, cool. But this just feels like Lakers are in town. Lakers in the second of a back-to-back. Maybe their legs aren't fully under them. The Lakers, as you know, Doc, are super shorthanded. And I could just see SGA just flexing tonight. I got SGA over 31.5 points. Dejounte Murray goes back to San Antonio tonight. I love the reunion game angle. And I also love, Doc, the fact that San Antonio's defense sucks. I also love that he has been under 20 points the last 3 games. So the principle of do is in play here. The bounce back factor is in play. I got Murray over 20.5 points. And my best bet, Doc, the best bet of all, and I would play this individually, DraftKings, underdog, wherever you can get it, is Steph Curry at 5 assists. Steph Curry, not 5.5. Well, this is an underdog number, so maybe they will put the hook on a DraftKings number. But 5 assists on underdog. It's a part of my parlay here. It's my best bet. He's been 6 assists in each of the last 3 games. And so that's over this number. No Chris Paul. Draymond Green is not playing as many minutes, right? He's 28, 29. So, and I just think vibing out Curry from that Sacramento loss. He's pissed. He's over it. He's frustrated. And I think he's going to be like, yo, if Clay don't got it, if Wig don't got it, and Draymond's going to be barking at the officials all night, I have to do this myself. And I think Steph has been up to that a lot in his career. And I think we get that type of game tonight, Doc. It's the Clippers at the Warriors. It's a big game here. Obviously, the Warriors suck. They've lost 9 of their last 12. And so I got Curry over 5 assists. I got Dejounte over 20.5 points. And I got SGA over 31.5 points.
I like all that. I like your SGA against the Lakers. Like I agree. I think he's going to try to flex on them. The only one of those that makes me nervous is the Dejounte. And I love guys going against their former teams angles. I'm all about that. I'm just a little worried because Trae Young has been playing much better lately. And when Trae started playing well, Dejounte's numbers fell apart. And
because Trae's a complete and total ball hog, that too. And very selfish and very I think he's a selfish player, bro. I really do. I think Trae Young would rather have 30-10 in a loss than 18-7 in a win. I really do.
Well, I mean, you might be right. I don't know, but I just know that Trae's been balling out and Dejounte has not been. I'm not sure that the two of them ever ball out on the same night. I mean, it happens occasionally, but not very often. So I'm a little nervous about that angle of that take, but the rest of that I think looks pretty good. What I'm going to hammer tonight, if they give us more options, right now it's just Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, but I don't know if you've seen the Indiana Pacers defensively this year, but man, they are like, we're not going to play any defense. It's weird because it's a Rick Carlisle team.
Right.
We're not going to play any defense. We're just going to run up and down the court with you like Alex English in 1979 for the Nuggets and just score as many points as we can on you, and you're going to have to catch us. And, the other night they played Portland, and my buddy in FanDuel just hammered every Blazer, and Jeremy Grant had like best game of the year. DeAndre Ayton had his best game of the year. All these guys just balled out on the Pacers. I think Jimmy Butler his points are 23.5. He's probably going to blow that out of the water. Bam Adebayo's points are 23.5. He should be good. I'm actually probably going to do the 40.5 Points, rebounds, assists combined for Bam, because I love the way Bam passes for a big man. But I'm going to hammer the Heat tonight against Pacers. And to your point, Jaime Jaquez has been awesome. I think he's going to go away when Tyler Hero comes back. I'm a little sad about that. And Duncan Robinson, I think, is going to play better tonight, which is probably going to hurt him a little bit. But, man, he's been pretty fun since Tyler Hero went down.
So, Doc, I totally understand what you're saying, and you might be right. But I feel like Jaime Jaquez is going to have staying power, and let me explain. The fact that Spo is playing him with finishing lineups, to me, speaks to a trust level that has surpassed Duncan Robinson, that has surpassed Haywood Highsmith, who's hurt right now. Has it surpassed Caleb Martin? No, I can't go there. But I feel like Jaquez is going to be a half-the-game player even after Hero returns. I don't think Jaquez is going to, be out of the rotation or turn into like a 15-minute per game guy where we're like, 5, 3, and 1 is his line tonight. I think we're still going to get half of a game from Jaime Jaquez, and maybe even more. He's a first-round pick. They got a lot invested in him, and he's so good with fitting in with these guys. He's basically, Doc, the new Max Strus, right? He's a good shooter. He's a good defender. I mean, he literally he plays a ton of point guard for this Miami Heat team, where he literally brings the ball up and gets them into sets. He'll grab a defensive rebound and just dribble 5 times and then get a guy in the post and hit a little turnaround on him without even passing the ball. Like, he's really flowering blossoming right now. And I think he's got staying power. So we will watch for that, Doc. Go ahead.
In my, I did a mailbag column for RotoWire last night. It should be published. It's probably being published as we speak. But one of the questions I got from Mediocrities was, how do you see Jaime Jaquez faring once Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero are back on the floor? His decision-making and defense seem likely. His decision-making and defense seem like they'll afford him some playing time, maybe at Richardson's expense. Okay.
Bingo.
And I said, Mediocrities, while I agree with you that Jaquez has earned time, I'm just not sure he'll get enough of it to sustain the necessary, fantasy value we need for him to stay on rosters. Like, I don't think he's just going to go away. I don't think they're going to put him on the bench. I think he's going to get 20 minutes, maybe 22. But he's not going to be the guy we're seeing without Tyler Hero there and without, Jimmy Butler taking every other game off. So I'm just going to be prepared to part ways with Jaquez if I have to, because we got a lot of guys in fantasy basketball on the IR right now, and a lot of people are starting to make preparations for bringing those guys off the IR. I'm getting a lot of emails like, hey, I need to drop 2 of these guys. Which 2 do I drop? And it's like Santi Aldama. Do I drop Jaime Jaquez? Do I drop PJ Washington, Kobe White, Tyus Jones, your guy? So a lot of people are going to have hard decisions to make coming up. And, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. But I think with Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler both healthy, it's going to be tough for Jaquez to get enough minutes to be a must-keep guy.
I got one more hot take for you, and then let's go to the streets here. So this will be a fun debate for us to monitor moving forward as we continue to do. Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander, the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, the usage of Jaime Jaquez or not. I have a hot take for you. I would not be surprised if the Miami Heat, when all these guys are healthy, rock a starting 5 of Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, and Bam Adebayo. Would not surprise me at all. Lauri be off the bench. Duncan Robinson would be off the bench. Jay Rich off the bench. Highsmith off the bench. Then you would have the Love and Bryant combo behind Bam. Just throwing it out there. I don't know that that's going to happen. I wouldn't even call it probable, but I think it's possible. So keep your eye on that.
Why is Kyle Lowry starting at this stage of the game anyway?
Because Hero's out. That's why. I think when Hero comes back, look, like I said, Jaquez is running 1 for the Heat. Jimmy Butler brings the ball up, gets them into offense, right? They don't need Rondo out there, Doc A, right? I mean, but I'm telling you, to me, Jaime Jaquez is on the ball so much as the 1. The Yahoos and the CBSs, they need to add PG to Jaime Jaquez. in Fantrax, where Cam Dynasty is. I believe they need to add PG to Jaime Jaquez. Maybe that's another hot take here, but I see him on the ball as the one a lot.
Well, I will say that if he moves into the starting lineup, or if he's in the starting lineup when Hero and Jimmy Butler are both playing, then I will take back everything I just said, and I will buy all in on Jaquez. I do love him. I think he's got a great IQ, a great understanding of the game, very high basketball IQ. Spo loves him. I think his teammates love him. I think they love playing with him. He looks like he fits in out there. He looks right, passes the eye test, all that stuff. So, I mean, hang on to Jaquez as long as you can. Hopefully, Hero comes back. We get to see what happens after that. So
Hero should be coming back pretty soon here. Over the last 5 games, Jaquez is at 18.5 points. The Heat leader over that stretch, 1.2 steals, 2 threes, 56, 56, 86 with the shooting splits. That good. All right, Doc. What up?
One more thing real quick.
Yeah.
The NBA season is here. On behalf of our friends at Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team crush it on the court to the sound of thousands of screaming fans. Every dunk, dribble, and every heart-pounding play of your favorite team live and in person. And because Vivid Seats is the only ticketing company where you can earn rewards on every purchase, you can score amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today and use promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats, experience it live.
We are live with y'all right now. It is Cam. It is Doc A. We are the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, and let's go to the streets, man. We have Mr. A. We have Aditya, who we talked to earlier. Here we go with Eric. He says, we'll pop up his note here. Do you think Caris LeVert's value sits somewhere between where it was and where it is currently? Thank you. He's always a guy that I sleep on, Doc. It's the bench thing, right? And you got Strus coming in there, and you've got this core 4 of Garland and Mitchell and Allen and Mobley. And so he kind of gets lost in the shuffle for me a little bit. To me, I look at him more as a reality guy than a fantasy guy. Because, I mean, what are we going to get? 12, 4 and 4, maybe a 3, maybe a steal. Like, it's all right. I'm not a big Caris LeVert guy. Do you have something else you want to tell me about Caris LeVert? So I look at his value the same as I've kind of always looked at it.
Yeah, I tell you, though, there are times when he comes through. Like, if somebody's injured and Caris LeVert's going to play big minutes, he can put up some good numbers. So I'm with you. I think he's more of a reality player than a fantasy guy. I don't think he needs to be rostered everywhere right now. But, if Darius Garland's out or somebody else is out one night, run him out there and see what happens, because he can put up some decent numbers. He's about 13th round value right now. So he's just clinging on at the end of benches where he usually is. He's a streamer. He's a pickup if one of the guys goes out, like Doc said. But that's where we're at with that. All right, let's pull up Lester's note here. Doc A. He says Middleton or Tyus, ROS, 9-cat Roto. This Roto thing, man. Where's the HTH? Guys, play HTH. Is HTH dying, by the way, Doc? Or is HTH still thriving and very, very prosperous? You tell me. I don't know. It's just different. Every site's different. Like ESPN, they tell me that their leagues are mostly 8 to 10 man leagues, which is crazy to me because I don't play in 8 to 10 man leagues. That's like Yahoo football leagues are, the standard ones are 10 teams. Yeah, and Yahoo. That sucks. I don't play them anymore because of 10 teams. Get out of here with that. 8 teams? So the roster percentages are real different. Like if you look at rostership in ESPN versus Yahoo, it's different because ESPN has smaller leagues. But yeah, head to head, I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's dying. But then again, I talk to people when I'm out in town or on the golf course, like fantasy basketball. I didn't even know there was a thing. I knew about fantasy football, and it's like, okay, well, whatever. End of convo. I would take my clubs and leave the course. Head to head is fine. Head to head is not going anywhere.
All right, wanted to just take your temperature on that. So Lester says Middleton or Tyus, ROS 9-cat roto. You guys, the Tyus Jones thing, the plane is still on the tarmac, all right? Think about this. You're at LaGuardia or you're at Newark, right? And you know how travel in and out of those airports goes. Right, you're on the plane, we're ready for takeoff, and then why am I blanking on this? The freaking pilot, thank you, going back to first grade, says, we've got a mechanical malfunction and we're going to be stuck on the tarmac. How long? We don't know. Sit tight. All right, you're there for 3 hours, right? That's the Tyus Jones experience this year. This is a gigantic fantasy buzzkill. We're talking 10 points. We're talking 5 assists. We're talking, I don't even think a steal. Right at about a 3. He's been a monstrous disappointment for me in the 30 deep league that I'm still trying to win, but I will not win this year because my team is so mediocre, largely because of Tyus Jones. So, Doc, I will take the old and decrepit and often injured and super minutes restricted Khris Middleton over this young, prosperous fantasy sleeper gone wrong Tyus Jones. How about you?
I can't do Khris Middleton, man. I can't do it.
There's no upside to Tyus Jones, and he will be shut down after the All-Star break. You know this, right?
No, I don't know that. He's young. He's the crazy thing. I was looking at this last night. We're only 17 games in. His minutes, he's getting 3 more minutes a game this year than he got last year. He's in a featured role as the starting point guard on this team. Yet his numbers are exactly the same as they were last year. He's exactly the same. And it's total buzzkill, like you said. And how much is it related to Jordan Poole? Like, is Jordan Poole mentally buzzkilling that entire team to where they're just like, oh my, they don't even know what to do anymore. They have 2 or 3 wins. Denny Avdija looks decent. Tyus looks horrible. Jordan Poole, we talked about him the other day, and my only note on Jordan Poole that I had written down for Tuesday's podcast was Jordan Poole - what the hell? Like, what is he doing? And he's ruining Tyus Jones in the process. Like, I don't know, man. But I don't still wait on Tyus Jones before I'm going with your boy Middleton.
I'm not into the Middleton experience at all. I'm taking the lesser of 2 evils here, and the lesser of 2 evils is Khris Middleton, who is going to be playing more and more and more, we think, unless he's put back into bubble wrap. Patrick O'Hara is with us. He says, am I dropping Jordan Clarkson over Sharpe, Poole, and Beasley in a 10-team punt, assist, field goal percentage team? Punt, assist, and is that a league that does not do assists and field goal percentage? Is that what he's saying?
Punting. He's punting those. He's given up in those. He doesn't care about them. Okay,
so let me compute this. 10-team, we don't need assists, we don't need field goal percentage. Am I dropping Clarkson? Let me think here.
Clarkson, Shaedon, Sharpe.
I would rather, Sharpe is the main hold out of that whole thing. Malik Beasley, I'm not really feeling that. I feel like I can get more value out of Clarkson until the shutdown. I'm definitely holding on to Poole. So Beasley's the drop there for me.
Yeah, and if Middleton's going to play more, I don't know. I would drop Beasley out of that group myself. And Shaedon Sharpe has taken a bit of a downturn with whole Malcolm Brogdon being back. So Shaedon Sharpe is going to be showing up on waiver wires, I'm afraid. And I don't know if he should be or not, but I'm still super intrigued by Shaedon Sharpe.
He most definitely should not be on waivers. He's one of those guys. If it's starting to lead to L's and a bad rating on Yahoo, all right, maybe you got to do what you got to do. But I would hang in there with Shaedon Sharpe until the last possible moment. Like The Rock in an action movie, right? Like holding on for. I'd hold on, man. I would hold on. All right, Lakers Nation says, Doc, should I trade Sabonis and Jalen Green for Embiid? 9-cat. Oh man. I don't think so, Doc. I don't. I would rather, and Embiid's is so massive this year. The assists are way up around Last I checked, they were 6.6, which is second on the team to Maxey at 6.9. That was prior to last night's game. I mean, I love some Embiid, Doc, but Sabonis is a beast, man. 17, 12, and 7 every game. Jalen Green has been, I think, a little bit less than we thought, but still really solid. That third quarter he had last night against Denver was something else. So I'm not doing that deal, Doc. How about you?
That's what I was going to say about Jalen Green is he's looked better over the last week than he did the first month of the season. So I am intrigued by Jalen Green's sudden emergence. I think there is hope there. Sabonis and Green. I mean, if you want Joel Embiid on your team, this is the kind of guy. This is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to give up 2 studs to get him back. And without seeing Lakers Nation's actual team and the makeup of it, it's hard to say yes or no on this. If you can trade a 2-for-1, not lose depth, and add Joel Embiid to your squad, I don't hate that trade if you're getting Embiid.
If you have an abundance of depth and you've kind of got to consolidate, I understand. And I've had to do some consolidation trades in the Cam Dynasty with, a bunch of guys on the IR, and then they come off. And so you kind of prep for that. I'm not a guy that will like cheat, you know what I mean? And like have injured dudes and then they're not injured and leave them in the injury spot. I think that's pretty lame. And I'm very I don't know, hands off, Doc. Like I'm not like going through every day to see whose roster is legal and illegal. I just try to mow my own backyard the right way. I did play against a guy last night. I mean, I'm cooking him this week 7-1. I'm looking for an 8-0. And I'm trying to pass Ken Kreitz into first place in the Cam Dynasty. We both are 30-10 right now. But the guy I played against last night didn't even set his lineup. Like that really pisses me off, man. And his team sucks, but put dead bodies in there. You gotta at least set your lineup, man. So that bothered me. All right, one more here. Let's put this one in and let's put this one up. It is Amer Aramich. I hope I got your name right, sir. Would you trade Cade for Kessler in 9-cat 12 team setup? I'm worried about if he will play with the Pistons being as they are. Thanks, guys. I'm not trading away Cade for Walker Kessler. And Doc, I've been going back and forth with a team manager in the Cam Dynasty about Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham. I got a thing for Scotty Barnes, man. I'm sorry, I do. I got a thing. The defensive goodies are amazing. The blocks, the assists this year, like it's all happening. I got a thing for him. And this guy wanted it was like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Johnson, and a first-round pick next year for Scotty Barnes. And I got back to this guy, and I like this guy a lot, but I said to him, that offer is hilariously terrible. One of the worst I've ever gotten in fantasy basketball. I mean, it's god-awful, right? Like, and I told him back, I said, I would think about giving you Cade straight up for Scotty Barnes. Okay, like I don't even know if I want to do that. I probably would, Doc. You back me into a corner. I'll probably give you Cade for Scotty Barnes. But here's my worry with Scotty Barnes. Okay, what if because we know that the dismantling of Toronto is going to happen, right? Siakam, final year of his deal. OG Anunoby might be traded. Okay, cool. Scotty Barnes, it's his show. For how long? Okay, Doc, for how long before you go get a nasty point guard that's a 2010 guy taking the rock back from Scotty Barnes? Maybe you go get a hot shot through free agency, right? And now Scotty Barnes is not the first option. He's the second option. What if Scotty Barnes is traded and his new team, looks at him as more of a role player and a glue guy than like a main guy? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm into the Scotty Barnes thing, but I'm still like there with Cade Cunningham, Doc. I'm not ready to cut the cord yet. Matter of fact, I'm not even close to it. So talk to me about all of that right here. Are you trading Cade for Walker Kessler?
Probably not. I mean, I think Walker Kessler has just as good a shot as getting shut down as Cade does. Actually, I probably would do it because Cade, scratch that. I would do that trade. Cade's fantasy ranking is awful, dude. Awful. He's like 16th round.
Well, then why would you do the trade?
To get Walker Kessler.
Why the hell would you trade Cade Cunningham for Walker Kessler? You just banged on Walker Kessler.
No, I'm talking about Cade.
Oh, so I think you're All right, my bad.
Maybe I'm not speaking correctly.
No, the guy said, would you trade Cade for Kessler? So you got to give up Cade to get Kessler.
And
would
Cade
you do that?
is a 16th round fantasy player right now.
No, I get it. The efficiency sucks. The defense isn't there.
The shooting is terrible.
I don't know, man. The threes are decent from Cade. He's at about 2 a game. I don't know. I feel like there's more there. And I mean, that guy Yurts have been starting over Kessler right now.
Well, Kessler's been hurt. Kessler's on a minutes count still.
Yo, he ain't hurt now, bro. Why isn't he starting?
Dude, Cade Cunningham is not good at fantasy basketball right now.
Oh, wow. Shots fired. By the way, Detroit does not shut down their main dudes. Following them the last couple of tanky years, they don't shut their guys down. I don't think they're going to shut Cade down or Ivy down or Osar down. I don't think they're going to shut them down.
By the way, Cade Cunningham's numbers are not good. They hurt your fantasy team more than they help you. And I would rather have Walker Kessler. Having said that, your guy, Jaden Ivey, is making a splash lately. And I think it's time to go pick Jaden Ivey up everywhere. I think he's going to go off the rest of the season.
As soon as Monty Williams came to his senses and moved Ivey into the starting lineup, it was giddy up time for Jaden Ivey. It should have always been giddy up time for Jaden Ivey. And to me, if I were doing a coaching power ranking, 1 through 30, Monty Williams would be 30 on that list. I think he has done a god-awful job of coaching this team this year. His rotations have been sucky. He continually bangs on his players after all of these games. When it's like, yo, Monty, you are coaching with a win-now philosophy on a win 5 years from now team. What is going on here? And he's flexing that he's the highest paid coach in the NBA. I'm not feeling it at all, Doc. But this has been a fun hour with you, my friend, on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. You got one more thought for the people?
I'm going to be back on Tuesday with your guy, Ken Kreitz. Nice. You and I are going to be back here on Thursday. Go get Jaden Ivey. Let's say a little get well note for Victor Wembanyama. I need him to play through this hip. Please play Wemby.
All right, so a little fantasy basketball prayer for Wemby to play tonight. He will be at home against the Hawks, and should be a juicy matchup for him if he can go. Guys, we really appreciate the comments. We appreciate all of you guys being in here.
Subscribe, hit those buttons. For Dr. A, go ahead, Rick.
For Dr. A, I'm Rick Kamla. We're the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Have a great weekend. Get some wins. Go win some money on Underdog, and we'll see you next week, guys. Peace out.
We out.